I'd like to call this meeting to order. We have the prayer and pledge by Councilmember David Broussard.
Bow our heads to our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Dan Dahl,
Here.
Councilmember Natalie Lopez,
Present.
Councilmember Marlon Lewis,
Present.
Councilmember David Broussard,
Here.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter,
Here.
Councilmember Sherry Guidry,
Present.
Councilmember Dustin Swear.
Here.
Thank you. First item, item 1, public comment. Do we have any public comment cards? Seeing no public comment cards. Before I close it, I'll just remind you to have your cell phones on vibrate. And we'll move on to agenda item number 2. Madam Clerk?
Acceptance of the minutes of the May 16, 2017 meeting as published on May 26, 2017.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to accept.
Councilmember Ledbetter and Councilmember Lewis. Do we have any discussion? Yes.
I don't like to advertise that I missed the meeting, but I wasn't here last meeting, and on the minutes, the second page, agenda item number 10, it has me as a yay, and I'd like to make a motion to remove me from yay and insert me next to absent.
Okay.
On item number what?
10. And then they have Ms. Ledbetter listed as absent. I don't know if that,
Okay.
I didn't know if it was,
Yeah.
if she was actually absent or if that was just
No,
a
it
swap.
just got transcribed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's noted, and the clerk will make the correction. All right, we'll move on to item number 3, persons to address the council. Madam Clerk.
Phoebe Hayes, presentation for the Louisiana Historical Marker.
See Ms. Hayes is here.
Thank y'all so much. Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Phoebe Hayes, and I am here before you to talk about a project that is one of the projects, I should say, that is near and dear to my heart. I have been working with members of the community on community education as far as the history of Black Americans in this town. It's very if you look at the physical signs of our history, and by our I mean African Americans, those of us who are from this community, like I am, brought up and raised here, there's very little evidence of our contributions to Iberia Parish and its history. We do have a marker, a historic marker, dedicated to Felicite, and I would like to introduce someone before I go on who was key to that marker being erected. What is it, almost 20 years ago? Miss Sandra Eglin. Miss Eglin, if you don't mind standing up. Miss Eglin was co-chair of the sesquicentennial with Professor Glenn Conrad years ago, and she served on the Historic Commission for 3 years. And she also, as I said, was instrumental in making sure that this particular marker was erected for Felicite. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge her contributions. Ms. Eglin also worked with Dr. Conrad on this book, New Iberia, the history of New Iberia, which was out of issue, and it's now been reissued. Got it from Books Along the Teche. This was the first time in this particular book that the history of blacks, there was an attempt to document the history of blacks in Iberia Parish. And it was wonderful. Ms. Eglin is the one who wrote that particular chapter. Mr. Conrad, at that point, when he did the introduction to that chapter, he indicated that the history of blacks in our parish is an unstated one. It's largely unknown. So at that point, he encouraged us, the community, to look at continuing to do research on this very important community of people. there are people who have made great strides in Iberia, well, who historically made great strides in Iberia Parish. One of them, among others, is Dr. Emma Wakefield, who I had never heard of until I started doing my research. Dr. Wakefield was the first African-American woman to receive a medical degree in the state of Louisiana. And this was in 1897. Her father was Senator Samuel Wakefield, who represented our area from 1874 to 1876. Her brother was our first and only black clerk of court, A.J. Wakefield. So a lot of that history has almost been lost, but a lot of it is still there and available as part of our primary records in the courthouse, in archives. I've traveled to universities as far as North Carolina, University of North Carolina, Duke University, the Rubenstein Collection. I've gone to LSU, Xavier, Dillard University, in search of a lot of the records about our people, our community of people who are historic. May 17th, I submitted an application to the Louisiana Office of Tourism for the erection of a marker, state historical marker for Dr. Wakefield. And that marker is scheduled to be reviewed, that application is scheduled to be reviewed in August of this year. So what I'm coming before the council is to ask your permission, your support, rather, for this particular marker to be erected in Iberia Parish. Primarily, I'd like to have it erected in Bulani Plaza. One of the requirements of the Louisiana Office of Tourism is that whenever historic markers are erected, that they are erected in positions that tourists, especially pedestrians, as well as passing motorists, can view them and read the information that is on them. And what better place than here in the heart of Iberia Parish, in the heart of New Iberia, I should say. So that is what I'm before you, requesting your support. This is the first of several markers that I will be sending applications for based on the primary source documents I have uncovered in these different archives and libraries. And I thank you for your time.
We thank you. We thank you for your efforts, and
Thank you.
look forward to seeing that marker.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have a resolution F that'll be later that we'll be voting on to send her with a big yes. Now we move on to, Madam Clerk, item 3B.
Mike Barra for a presentation on Iberia Crime Stoppers.
First of all, thank you for having us. I have I'm not sure how to work this thing.
We have Chuck.
How much woodchuck,
I imagine it'd be pretty good bid.
No pressure, Jeff.
This one?
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Now that we've got a picture, I do want to thank the council for allowing us to be here. I have a couple of my board members with me, Mr. Earl Babineau and Mr. Wynn Murphy. And what we're here for is to talk about Crime Stoppers that we got instituted and started on May 1st of this year. And in doing so, on our Facebook, in less than 2 weeks, we have over 5,600 Facebook friends who are watching Facebook all the time. But a little bit about us. We're a not-for-profit organization, and we offer rewards up to $1,000 for information that leads to criminal arrests. And we're governed by a civilian board. We have nothing to do with any governmental agency or even the sheriff's department other than our coordinator. Our whole concept is based on somebody else knows what has been going down and can solve a crime. Nobody robs without somebody knowing that he's a robber, and we want those people to come forward. We're a 501c3, so we operate on contributions, gifts, and grants. And we use media and television, radio, and newspaper, as well as our social, Facebook, and website. And all of that is in place as we speak. On the 16th Judicial Court, which is Iberia Parish, I was astounded to find certain figures. Total cases filed in 2014 were 7,506. Then you had about a 14% increase with 8,762. So I thought logically that cases would follow about 16%. But the Louisiana Supreme Court just sent out the records for 2016, and we have almost a 24% increase in cases. We're ranked 50th in crime and corrections. So Louisiana is ranked 46th in education. And believe me, that has a lot to do with what we're talking about in crime. This is what the sheriff receives. We took the first 4 months of the calls and averaged them out to the first 4 months of this year. Calls went up by 14%. Shots being fired, 333% increase in shots being fired. Now, aggravated battery shootings, that's when somebody actually gets hit with a bullet of some kind. That is running one below, or 5.6%. Business burglaries have doubled in that first few months to 56.7%. In residential burglaries, from 222 on an average to 181. Now, this is what your neighborhood crime neighborhood watches are doing. I think that's helping a lot. Same thing with vehicular burglaries. It's down by 10%. Somebody just called in on Facebook and said their car was robbed, and the first thing I want to say is, did you lock your darn car? That's a deterrent right there. And moving on, this is what we have to face. People are afraid. Snitches get stitches. It's a common phrase. But in solving crimes, we need witnesses or persons knowledgeable of criminal activity. Fear. They don't report the crime for fear of retaliation from the very people that are committing those crimes. Albert Einstein once says the world will not be destroyed by evildoers, but by people who watch evildoers and do nothing. That's where apathy comes in. It ain't my problem. I don't want to get involved. It doesn't affect me at all. Well, ask your mayor, when businesses come to New Iberia and Iberia Parish to look at potential opening up a business, what are they looking at, Freddie?
Looking at crime, they're looking at our stats.
They're looking at crime. And if we continue on the road that we are now, we're going to be pretty ahead of the game. So how do we do that? Anonymity. All calls are anonymous. No one will ever know who makes that call. There will not be a police officer standing in front of your house with his lights on that you reported a crime. It doesn't work that way. Crime Stoppers doesn't even know who you are. So all calls are live. If we're not on with a local person on it, we have a approved 24-hour, 7-day-a-week, 365-day service who is familiar with Crime Stoppers. When a caller calls, he'll be given a code. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll tell him to call back at a certain time once that information is given and leads to an arrest. And if that does lead to an arrest, we will give him a reward. And how we do that is very secretive, but they get their rewards. The call is called 364-8477. again, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days out of the year. The information is given to the proper division at IPSO, or even in Generette if it's the police force there. And IPSO acts on that information. If the information is correct and accurate, an arrest will be made. We will tell the tipster to call back with his code number, so we know it's the same one. Then the board of directors will meet and approve an award. Now, the rewards are based on the severity of the offense. Obviously, murder, rape, armed robbery, kidnapping, those heinous crimes would be worth more than a bench warrant or somebody jaywalking, going to Victor's across from Boulini Plaza, by the way. We're also starting a Crime Stopper on campus. This will be at all middle and high schools, including religious-based schools such as Catholic High, and we will give an automatic $100 reward to a student who tips off that there's some illegal thing on the campus now. We're using KLAF, NBC in Lafayette, and KADN Fox 15. They will be on Wednesday nights, and that'll be at 6, 5 on KADN, 6 and 10 on KLAF, and again in the morning of their morning show. The Day at Iberian has been very good to us. Christina Pierce has been working very closely with us, and she publishes the Crime of the Week on Fridays. And Jeff Boggs has been very helpful also. We do a live show at 11 o'clock on Thursday, and he puts out through PSAs all of the information on past crimes and crimes, cold cases. So we want people to join the Facebook, of which they are doing. We'd like to get to 10,000 by the next 2 weeks. But we do have an email, and it's Iberia Crime Stopper with no S at att.net. On the website, it's www.iberiacrimestoppers with an S. And we have banners and posters, and we even had the marquee at the Slyman Theater this week. So people know about it. Any questions that you would like to pose at this time?
The only thing, K&D, I think it's 1240.
Yes.
It's 1420.
Yeah, I'd seen that.
I want to change it.
Okay.
Give him credit. Yeah, it's 12.
We appreciate it.
Well, you know, those who can take the responsibility should take the responsibility. That's the only way we're going to get things done. So we're asking all, we can't take government funds, but we take individual funds from the council. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? Yes.
Have we, since it's been implemented, have we had any crime solved?
Yes, we took a pedophile off the street through a Crime Stopper. We're investigating a weapons charge right now, and also there was an instant drug deal going down that we were instrumental in getting IPSO to go see. So it's warming up, but there's still a lot more to be done. And the worst thing is for people not to call for fear. But there's no fear because we don't even know who they are.
But you mentioned the TV. I did see it on TV a couple of times, and it really caught your attention.
Yeah. Well, even when there is a crime story on the other networks that involve Iberia Parish, it all ends with call Crime Stoppers at 364 tips. So we're getting the word out.
Can't thank you for your work, you and your board. I mean, this has been needed, and it's just great to see that law enforcement has another tool. So
Yes.
can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Yes, now.
I just want to reiterate, I went to the crime symposium, and for the public to understand that it is extremely confidential, and there are no ways for anyone to trace you and find out what you've reported. And I do, you know, we have discussed before that there is an issue with the public trusting the sheriff's department, maybe per se, in certain areas of the community. But this is not only about trusting the sheriff's department, it's a small town. And whether or not they trust the sheriff's department or not, they're scared that their neighborhood's gonna find out that it's them. And we deal with it every day in my office. People want to tell, but they don't because they're scared it's going to get back. They're going to get beat. They're going to get jumped. All these things. And I think it's going to take time. But once they see that they are not going to have negative repercussions of reporting to Crime Stoppers, in time, it's going to flourish. And I thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
You said banners and signs, and those are for advertisement of Crime Stoppers?
Yes.
So businesses, what have you, can put them in a
Well, we just,
businesses or how-
Coca-Cola just donated 5 signs for us, and they're 3 by 8, and we just picked those up today. We have 2 banners on the corner of Lewis and Main Street right now, and a 3rd banner, I forgot where we put it, to tell you the truth. And we've got yard signs, like all good politicians would have. You can read front and back, and we're getting those distributed as well as posters. And if anybody wants a Crime Stopper card, I'll leave them on the table.
Great, thank you.
How did you go about getting the yard signs or what have you?
Well, we had those printed locally, and we had it designed locally, by the way. And we used part of our funding that we were able to raise to pay for that. And we're still trying to put the word out to Lydia, to Jeanerette, to Laurelville, and of course all of New Iberia. So we will eventually hit all the areas with some type of poster or sign.
So are they available to the general public, those signs?
Yes,
That's what I'm trying to,
yes.
and how do we go about getting them?
Well, you can call me,
Okay.
and I will make sure that you get what you need for the yard signs and the posters that you can put in your storefront window, whatever it takes.
Contact them through Facebook.
Pardon?
Contact through Facebook as well.
Yes. Become a Facebook member.
Yes. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, item 4, property standards.
Revisit 822 West
Yep.
Washington Street, New Iberia, Louisiana, and to remove this property from the condemnation list.
Do I have a motion? Do we need a motion?
No,
Motion.
not the
Not yet.
resolution.
Not to the
yet.
resolution.
Yeah.
All right, I'm jumping the gun. You ready to get this one off? A success story, yeah? Gets me excited.
That's right.
That's the backyard. They've really cleaned it up. They've done a lot of work, so my recommendation is gonna be to move it. I know they still have a little bit work left, but I talked to Mr. Phillip, and he's gonna continue working on it. So my recommendation is to remove it.
Great, whose district is this?
Sherry?
Would you like to comment?
I just think they did a great job.
Good, good.
Not to the resolution's down later.
Where's our resolution?
Make a motion to remove it off the demolition list.
Okay, great. Do we have a second? Second by Mayor Pro Tem Dahl. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote on machine. Great, motion carries. Thank you. Another success story. This is what we want. We don't want to tear houses down. We don't want to represent empty lots. We want to see people clean up and be part of the community again. And I'd like to see a house on every empty lot. So are all these houses rented or occupied some kind of way? So we thank you for that. Thanks for your hard work. Madam Clerk, item 5.
Resolution to levy the 2017 millage rates, which notice was published on May 1st, 2017. This resolution is to adopt millage rates on the 2017 tax roll on all properties subject to taxation by the city of New Iberia.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I heard a couple. Motion by Councilmember Swear and a second by Councilmember Guidry. And do we have discussion? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. Go.
This is something that I think, Mary, you said that we have to do yearly.
Yes.
And to assure the people that we're not going up on none of these millages, we're
That's
keeping them
correct.
same. So pretty much what you paid last year, you pay this year.
Correct.
We just have to do this, because legally we do.
Yes, once a year.
So it's no increase, and I know we had a few calls, some of the council members
So
concerned
did
about
I.
an increase on some millages, but this is not an increase. I just want to make sure they understand that. It's just a procedure that we have to do every year.
Correct.
Correct. Thank you.
Further discussion? Yes. Councilman Gibbons.
Also too, for the viewing audience, Mayor, just like Mayor Pro Tem said, this is an extension of the tax roll. And how long this particular millage been in place? Do we know? On the records?
These are quite a few millages. We have the general purpose millage,
Right.
streets and sidewalks, public parks, general obligation bonds, and the debt service.
Yes,
I can
sir.
tell you quite a few years. I cannot give you an answer
Okay.
of how many years
We
they've
went
been
up on like maybe one last term,
Last year.
but
Yeah.
not by much.
Yeah, not
But they've been in existence
Yeah,
for
they've been
many
in
years.
right,
But
okay.
this rate is the same rate as last year.
Okay, all right. And just to be clear, like as y'all said, it's not gonna exceed the prior year's maximum. And however, Mayor, if you don't mind, I'm requesting a copy of the past millages for the last 2 years, just for comparable purposes, in my next packet.
Okay, be glad to
Okay.
get you that.
Okay. And according to the millages on the general purposes of 5.77 mills, we said that the money that's levied for this particular millage, what is that used for?
That
Again,
goes
if you could explain to
directly-
the public.
I can give you all of them.
Okay.
The general purpose ones goes directly into our general fund.
Right,
Of course, the streets, sidewalks, and alleys goes to public works.
right.
Anything for the parks goes into parks.
Operating costs, salaries,
Yeah.
upkeep.
Yes. The
Okay.
obligation bonds are almost all wastewater. And then the debt service, that's from our 2005, 2009, you're right now. That comes from our street projects.
Right, and if I can request a list of that as well, that's the one I needed to know about the debt service, the 4.0 mil.
Sure, I'll
Okay.
give you this breakdown.
Okay, just for the last 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions?
For the record, for the public, we're pretty much, we're staying neutral. We're not rolling forward, so it's just gonna be a neutral. I just wanna set that record straight.
Yeah, what we're doing is,
Extension of the
we will
road.
remain, they will pay the same thing they paid last year. The
Okay.
rate will remain the same.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
I know we made the record clear,
Uh-huh.
but the parish went up on the millage 2 weeks ago, not the city.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Good point noted.
People get confused.
No, it's true. Point noted. Is there any other?
Since there's
further
two
discussion?
there's a Natalie here and there's a Natalie
I
there.
understand. Do what you
Point
got.
noted, when it came up last year as an increase, I voted no.
It's the truth.
It's true. No, that's fine.
Nothing to be ashamed.
That's fine. Do we have any other discussion to make sure that this is crystal clear?
Absolutely.
Okay, we're all good? Then I'll ask you to please vote your machines. Thank you, and all joking aside, good job, because we do need people to understand exactly what we're doing here, so I thank y'all for that. Sometimes people think we go overboard, but we need to make sure that everybody knows just what we're doing. We represent a lot of people, so I thank y'all for that. Okay, moving on, Madam Clerk, 5B.
Resolution accepting administrative change order number 4 for the 2015 street improvement project to adjust the contract to assess the liquidated damages in which Elliott Construction LLC was previously notified.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez, do I have a second? Councilmember Lewis. Any discussion on this item?
I got a question.
Sure.
Mayor. That's, the contract showed that it was a $15,000 decrease because of the,
Liquidated
fine.
damages.
Right.
Correct.
Where does that $15,000 money go back into?
Well, it's dedicated for the road, so what I would like to do with it is keep it in the roads, and we will have one, it could be a road repair, it could be, I'd like to leave it there so that we could decide what we're gonna do with it as a council. I mean, that we will have a small amount of money left in the road program.
So the council voted on this, prior to your administration, to do this
Correct.
project?
Correct.
So will the money go back into a fund where the council will be involved in spending the $15,000?
Either way, the council's gonna be involved. In other words, what I, and I had just said that, what I
Yeah.
would like to do is leave it in the road money, and then we as a council will decide what we're gonna do with it. I think that instead of slap, I don't know if I can put it in the general fund because it was part of a bond. I think it has to stay where it's dedicated. So it'll stay where it was dedicated, and I'm telling you right now, we'll figure out what we're gonna do with it together. I think that, because we have a lot of districts, we have a lot of need. You know, it might go to, I'll see if I can patch roads with it. We might find, I'm gonna find some diplomatic way that we all benefit, because it's not much money. I mean, not like we're gonna go and resurface much of a road for $15,000, but we'll figure something out to do with it. Further discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines.
Wrong button. Revote, please.
Oh, let me clear.
Okay, clear. You wanna vote again?
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
You need to vote again?
Yeah,
Yes, vote
Okay.
again.
Is there one mistake?
there you go.
Great. Hey, look. That was easy to redo. Thank you very much. Item 5C, Madam Clerk.
Resolution authorizing the designation of the Daily Iberian as the official journal for the city of New Iberia in accordance with Louisiana Revised Statute 43, Section 150, and Louisiana Revised Statute 43, Section 174.
Great. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Lopez. Do I have a second? Councilmember Broussard. Do we have any discussion on this item?
I don't think we have any other newspaper that's gonna do it, right?
No, but we could
Yeah.
have discussed it. Yeah, no, great. Dale Iberian does a great job for us, so, any
You're
further,
our top choice, Corey.
any further discussion? Please vote your machine. Motion carries. Thank you, Dale Iberian. Item 5D, Madam Clerk.
Approval of certificate of substantial completion submitted by Roofing Solutions LLC for completion of the project described as New Iberia City Parks Roofing Project, and recording of the certificate with the Iberia Parish Clerk of Court.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Ledbetter, seconded by Councilmember Swear. Do we have any discussion on this item?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor
What
Pro
was
Tem?
the project cost?
$70,000.
70, I think around 70,000.
And is it the only draw they had on the project?
Yes.
And they had no findings that, so we could give them the whole money?
Yes.
I mean, there's no,
Basically, by the scope of the project, we still have many roofs to do,
Yeah.
and this was basically a roof patch. The scope was very light, if you will. They did everything that they were asked to do and more. We still have many roof issues. This was some patching. But they did everything we asked them to do, so I feel that we should approve this. I see we have a lot of questions. I'll go around.
What roofs were done?
They did some patching at the community center, Sear Gates. They did some patching in the West End, and they did a small new roof on the Senior Citizens Building. So it addressed those three. All except our other two roofs we still have issues. Our roofs are still leaking, and we need new roofs in many of these facilities. This was some patching. Yes. Yes. One pipe penetration. Yes. Who was next? Councilmember Guidry.
Okay, so after the approval of certificate of substantial completion is given to them, we still have to give them the 10% retainer fee.
Yeah,
correct?
basically, the retainage is part of their original bid. That's held back to make sure that their punch list is complete. They have one item to fix one little penetration.
Okay.
During that clear lien time, the 45 days
45 days.
that we're waiting, they'll do that. We'll certify that they did their punch list, and then at the end of the 45 days, we'll be able to give them their money.
$7,000.
Somewhere around there, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
10% of the project.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Yes, Councilmember Lopez.
Just for knowledge, who certifies that the job is up to standards? Does Jimmy go, or?
At times that we have an architect, then the architect and the engineer do. On these small projects, we don't have an architect, like this is a project that we inherited, someone else had put the paperwork together for it. We took that paperwork, and between myself and Heather, we reworked it, and I had knowledge of roofs, so I got involved, and we tweaked the project to do more than what it originally was gonna do, and then I've gone and looked at the roofs. In the future, I don't know that I'll be that hands-on, but on the small projects, we've finally come up with a city contract that we haven't had before. We've come up with a whole little set of specs that before you bid a job, we're doing the pre-construction conferences, which I attend. These I will for sure. So we've kind of revamped from my construction background the way we handle these small projects. So they'll be reviewed in-house if it's a small project. If it's anything of any substance, we'll have an architect or an engineer, and they will review.
Okay, I
If
guess
you want
just,
Jimmy to come along and bring with him,
well,
you know,
he's his name is building inspector.
it is, and Jimmy
So
does.
that's why I tied
and
him
Jimmy
to
does
this.
inspect the work, and I don't have
That's
a problem
his
with
name.
that.
No, I guess my concern is only because when we talk about patching, you know, it's never 100% guaranteed that it's done. So if in 6 months it leaks, the city certified it, so it's still our problem. I guess that is my question.
And that was the scope of the project and the way the project is. What you just said is exactly true.
Okay.
That's why I don't like to patch roofs. I like to come up with the money to do a system that can be warranted. Actually, we changed some of the stuff where we could get a warranty because we had none with the way it was worked out. Work with the roofer, and at least on the patching that he did, we could get a warranty and he could get certified. And we took those steps to do that. But in the future, I don't think we're going to be doing any more patching projects per se. I'd like to at least do one whole field. You might have a building that has 3 levels of roofing. I at least would like to take the time, do one level completely
Right.
where that roof won't leak, and then I can get to the other 2 and we can afford it. We know that we're in the money crunch, but at least if you do that whole field of a roof, then you know you have a warranty on that section. We kind of didn't do that, but in the future that we do it, that's how we'll handle it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Good. Further discussion?
Yeah, I got, and
Sir.
I guess, just recently, so these roofs been fixed, what, six months?
No, not long at all.
Just
Not
now,
long at all?
like a month.
Couple weeks.
Because I got, and Heather May can answer, I've got some calls about the west end leaking.
Oh, you have some leaks.
Already.
Then we didn't do
It's
the whole
gonna
roof.
They didn't do the whole roof?
No, this is just a patch in one little area. You have.
So they didn't
you have
patch the whole roof?
No, we didn't have the money. This was a project I inherited.
Right, I
Okay, so
understand.
we're dealing with it. But you need a whole new roof.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, we're gonna get a budget time that's coming. I don't know where we're gonna find the funds. That is one reason that if our 50 cents on a dollar public safety tax passes, we free up $500,000 a year to do some other things. We're faced with in our budget that's coming very soon a whole bunch of really candid discussions on how we're going to budget the money we have left and how we're going to fix the issues that we have are faced with. And there are many. We need new roofs in quite a few. This building leaks.
Okay.
I need a new roof on this building. Sear Gates has some issues. The West End has some big issues. We're not out the woods. I mean, though we haven't had and implemented these maintenance programs, that is because we didn't have the money. It's nobody's fault. But we are going to fast work on how we can get ourselves to where we can. If we fix one a year, I'd like to really fix it. So anyway, but that issue's coming. So I called you yesterday when you turned that in. I was like, dude, that's a big item. We're going to be working on it, but it's going to take a little while.
So let me, and look, I know I'm bombarded.
Nah, it's
I was
okay.
bombarded.
That's what we're here for.
So when we pass that tax in October, will that help with our general fund to
Yeah.
do some
Jimmy,
projects?
if
Yes.
I know we hadn't talked about that tax in a while, and we need to
Yes.
remind people of some of the future
Yeah.
promises
It's
that
not a
this
huge
tax
amount of money, but it will help.
can bring.
I'm not promising anything, but
Future promises, potentially.
if people elect to tax,
aspiration.
yes, if people elect to tax themselves, and we do this, we will free up some of the 1960 money. I didn't say it was going to be a lot, and
Right.
but we would have some money to at least apply to some of these things. Now, if you tell me the tax passes, so go put a brand new roof on all the West End, that's not going to happen. I mean, it would take some time. Would we do one section at a time? Would we be able to do something? Will we? Yeah, we'll have some money to at least act like a city again. Because right now, we're not really doing much maintenance or much of anything because we can't afford it. So will it relieve something? Yes, it will. Will it help? It certainly will. It would bring back a police department. It would help relieve some pressure on the fire department because our taxes have sunk so low. Their taxes not supporting. And there will be some money to throw at these issues. Is it a lot of money? No, it's not. Are we going to have to work together and really pull together and say, this year we're doing this, next year we're doing that, and prioritize? Yeah, we will. Will it help? Yes, it will. But there's no magic bullet, I mean, there isn't. It's a process. But will it help us? Yeah, it will. Yes, sir.
Thanks for bringing up the warranty situation, because I was concerned about that, being that we're doing patchwork.
Yeah.
These companies warranty.
We have one section that is going to be warranted. We have another section that won't because it kind of didn't fit the bill. And then we have a new little small roof on the senior citizens building where they changed the shingles and did a little metal roof. Actually threw in, we talked him into doing a little metal roof over that kitchen. That wasn't even in the deed.
Yeah, because that kitchen wall was rotten.
Oh, it was terrible. But he actually did that as kind of lagniappe. So we got our money's worth out of the guy. We just
So out of the two parks, which one is warranted? The two parks? The
one
patchwork in the two parks?
section at the west end, I think, but it's not a very big section. Is that right, Heather? It's at
On the meeting rooms,
yes,
The meeting room?
yeah,
the flat roof on the Syrian building.
yeah. Now, if it leaks from another area, which well can happen, you could still have a leak in that room. I mean, we're not out of the woods yet. So we're gonna be talking about roofs. I can tell y'all, our whole term, our whole time together, we're gonna be talking about roofs.
And when you say if we pass the tax, I'm being optimistic, so.
Good. Well, it's up to the voters, you know. But great. We have any further discussion on our roof issues? Then let's vote on machines and hope it doesn't rain. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
Thank y'all very much.
We're giving them more candy.
Madam Clerk, item 5E.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to execute the yearly maintenance agreement, including mowing and litter pickup with the Department of Transportation and Development for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2018.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Guidry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Broussard. Do we have any discussion on this item? Yes.
Just got one quick question. So basically, we're renewing the annual agreement between the DOTD and the city. And my question is, I guess, how much are we're getting for the city to do the mower and litter pickup agreement program?
That's a great question. I was waiting for somebody to ask you because the agreement doesn't have the dollar amount on it. It's $32,500.
Okay.
That's what we get. Mr. Leroy will tell you we spend $32,500. It is not a money-making thing.
Okay.
It's kind of like a government mandate that the state says you're going to do it and we're going to pay you this much. So we
It never increased. I don't think it's
it's
always.
never increased. And
It's a
it's
flat
really,
rate.
yeah, it's just a flat rate and that's what we get and we just have to tell them thank you and cut the grass.
Okay. Thanks.
Further discussion? Hearing none, please vote your machines. Great, thank you. Item 5F.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to support and endorse the application being submitted to the Louisiana Historical Marker Program by the Iberia Parish African American Historical Society for a historical marker in Bulliony Plaza to commemorate Louisiana's first black female physician, Dr. Emma Wakefield.
Do I have a resolution?
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Ledbetter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, do I have a resolution? Yeah, I'm sorry. I gotta mess up every
We
night.
want to do a unanimous?
Yeah, y'all want to do a unanimous second?
Unanimous.
Unanimous
Say
second.
unanimous.
Great, great,
Unanimous second. Jeez.
great. Okay, do we have any discussion? No
Is it-
discussion?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Is this kind of like maybe a kiosk type thing, like what we do with
It's
the
those
Bunk Jump?
pretty-
It's those, the pretty metal markers like the state is always putting, like the Felicity
Yeah.
marker that's in front of this building.
Okay.
So it'll be that bronze-looking marker that's like a highway marker.
All right.
Any further discussion?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir.
I want to commend Ms. Hayes.
Yep.
on Great work. Dr. Hayes. Dr. Hayes, great work. I'm a history buff myself. I know a little bit, but I've never heard of Dr. Emma Wakefield. I'm taking this right here to go read all of this to learn more about Dr. Wakefield. I think it's very important that the African American journey in Iberia Parish and New Iberia be recognized for the empowerment of our youth, as well as myself, who is young compared to Dr. Wakefield. Also, I'd like to and you may have heard, there's also research being done on the man who wasn't a doctor, who invented the tool to do, I want to say open heart surgery. Dr. Vivian Thomas was from New Iberia, from the West End area. So, we have, he was a man. Vivian.
Yeah.
That was a common name for men in those days. But, you know, those things and some other things that I'm looking at, like, you know, the first of everything in the African American communities, I would like to see recognized at some point, but I'm gonna bask in this beauty right here for a little while.
Great. I visited with Dr. Hayes for about an hour and a half, and we had a good time. She's a wealth of knowledge. Can't thank her enough. So, any further discussion? Vote your machines. Great. Thank you. All right, now we move on for items for discussion. 6A, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember David Broussard for discussion on the possibility of installing a marked crosswalk for pedestrians crossing Louisiana Highway 14 to travel from the motels to restaurants and the Pepperplex.
Councilmember Broussard.
Through the past, I want to make this statement, through the past years, we have had several safety issues of citizens being hit and loss of life trying to cross Louisiana Highway 14 along those Chili's Ruby Tuesdays. Mayor Freddie DeCourt, we need to draw up a resolution, another one. We did it last time I was in office. We need to make sure we follow up on it. A resolution asking the state of Louisiana to come install sidewalks along Louisiana Highway 14 to access Sucrose Drive, to access our Pepperplex for all the kids we have playing baseball. Also asking resolution to place a button on the pole at the red light at Lowe's to regulate light, to stop traffic so citizens can safely cross Louisiana State Highway 14. They have them in many other cities. It's a major road. They can at least do that. Dan Dahl, you sent a letter back on May 13th asking for a crosswalk of Louisiana 14, also asking for sidewalks along this busy, very busy roadway to access Sucrose Drive to get to Pepperplex. Dan, we need to follow up and make sure to give us an answer one way or the other, if they can come help us or not. Look like these things are getting buried and we're not getting answers. On March 21st, 2017, on our regular city council meeting, Ashley Moran with the Acadian Planning Organization came to discuss local safety issues in our community. Several communities belong to this organization to push for support at the state. That's their job. In resolution, please list this organization showing full support of very important safety issue. We ask them to do that. Dan, you secured $1 million of state monies dedicated to Pepperplex. This city helped Pepperplex get started in several ways. Let's protect our investment by making it safe for citizens staying in motels to walk to Pepperplex with their children at this very important complex. So we need to stay on some of these issues and make sure we get an answer so that we don't get left behind. They were talking about, last time we brought it up, about making turning lanes along Lowe's, along in front of the big gas station, making a long turning lane where they can get off the road and turn off too. So present some of that to us, you know, when you come down to state. But there's got to be some work done on our busy Highway 14. So if they have any discussion from other council members, I welcome it to get this accomplished. It's a very serious issue. If I misquoted on something,
No.
Mayor,
Yeah, we'll go.
You know-
Well, thank you, David. Yeah, you know, years ago, this is how far back this has been going on. When I was a council member at District 6, when they shut down the Evangeline Little League on Lewis Street, we needed to find a place, and the city allowed us to use the land over there, and we were promised multiple millions of dollars. We got our first million, and we got about $500,000 to do the Pepperplex. And at one point, we had some other plans to do some walkways. And in 2014, David was right, we did send a letter to Bill Oliver about doing the sidewalks. In 2015, it sent a letter back, of course, saying they couldn't do it. We even talked about even an walkway over the highway. They won't do it because it's a state road. It can be done, but it can't be done on a state road. So we've been through that, and I think David's on the right path. If we don't ask, we can't receive. And if you ever go to the, and we can say the Pepperplex, but you go there when they have a tournament, and the kids are gone from, sometimes they sleep overnight, whatever, to go to the hotels, it is a problem. And, but if we don't ask for it, I don't think we'll ever get it, and I appreciate him staying on top of it to do something, because we have plans in the future to do with that TIF money, to do with some roads and some ways that we can get in and out the Pepperplex. And we're saying Pepperplex to the kids, and or the restaurants be a lot quicker and safer for the community. So there's plans to do, and with the TIF dollars, there's some monies that we can do some improvements in that area, along with the parish, for that. So I thank you, David, you're all right, and I think we do need to move on it, at least give it a shot, you know. People, it's amazing what you can do with, when you say children. Sometimes they can find money at the state level.
One of the reporters that did the story on this called up DOTD. Ms. Deidre said they would come and put maybe sidewalks up, but we'd have to keep up the maintenance on them. So there's a little bit of tidbit we're hearing from that side.
Thank you, Dick. Great. Councilmember Lopez?
Just in preparation for future discussions on this matter, I would like to request from the sheriff's office, the number of fatalities in the past 5 years from sucrose to Chili's. From sucrose to Chili's, the number of fatalities, pedestrian and vehicular, and also if they can, normally they can look up accidents by area too, number of vehicle accidents, just so that way we can properly understand what has transpired in this location. And also if we could find out maybe from the president of the board for the Pepperplex, how many days per year that tournaments are going on involving out of town children. That way we can see how applicable the issue is with regard to children needing to cross the street for hotel access.
Okay.
I can remember 2 deaths at least crossing during our household time. That's why I brought up this issue.
2 deaths?
2 deaths for sure.
Pedestrian?
Pedestrians.
Due to, they were for
2 deaths at one time, crossing 14.
2 people at one
2 people,
incident.
One incident.
Anything related to the baseball field?
No. It
Oh,
was
okay.
Crossing from hotel. I remember 2 deaths, whether it's one
Gotcha.
time or not.
Okay.
It's my district, so it's stuck in my mind.
Yeah, I understand. Just so that way
Yeah,
for
we can
future
do that.
discussion,
That's a
we have as
good
much
idea.
information
That's a
as we
good
can
idea.
obtain.
Good idea. Councilmember
Hey,
Square.
Mr. Broussard, I appreciate you bringing this up. But I do have a question. I'm still waiting on the study to come back on the speed limit from what I requested back then. So I don't even, do we have any word on that by any chance?
I checked on it and they're backlogged,
Oh, nice.
so they received it.
Okay. In the paragraph, on this DOTD statement where the marked crosswalk study for 182, it says according to the manual, new marked pedestrian crosswalks cannot be installed at mid-block locations where the posted speed limit exceeds 40 miles an hour.
That's why we're gonna go to 39.
On, what is the speed limit right now?
Out there?
45?
45.
Minimum.
So is that
45.
something maybe we
Well,
can
I
get
was,
with them and say,
I
hey,
got
we
that
need
circle
to...
to talk about it because, you know, if
That's
they're
their
not,
guidelines.
that's their
Their
guidelines. They're not gonna change their
So they're not gonna
guidelines.
change?
No,
So in other words, they're not gonna put a crosswalk just because the speed limit is 45
unless you
miles
drop
an
the
hour.
speed. I mean, that was gonna be part of my discussion.
And
unless you
that's a mid-block location. It's not to say
Yeah.
we couldn't put one.
Well, and you might be able to, that you exceed 40 miles per hour and just not at the mid-block.
Yeah.
Well, being that there is a light already by Chili's and Lowe's that could be.
Yeah, yeah, and
That would
possibly,
be the
That could be
possibly
another
you'd move it there instead of lowering the speed. You'd move it there and then you do sidewalks
Right.
to where you wanna get.
You have to have a signal.
Okay.
Yep.
They got us.
Yeah, there's a signal there. We could use that signal.
Yeah.
Great. Any further discussion? Yes.
Just appreciate Mr. Broussard bringing this up. My kids for many years played soccer And I was a soccer mom for many, many, many years, and my oldest child is 26 years old, so that kind of gives you an idea how long we played soccer. I do believe that we can do some improvement, maybe with some sidewalks in that little area there. But I agree with Mr. Dan Dahl, where he spoke about the TIF districts and turning them on, and maybe we should take a look at some of those things and maybe use that as an option maybe in the future.
Good. Well, what we can do is draft up a resolution and bring it back to the next meeting and formally adopt the resolution and send it to them.
I'm
I'll
on
bring it back
vacation.
for-
I'm on vacation next meeting, so. can
Oh,
you
okay,
put-
well then we'll wait
put
till the
it to
meeting
next
after.
meeting, please. My wife will shoot me if I don't go on vacation. So, please, I'm letting the council know I'll be going next meeting.
But what I'll do is bring,
I'm sure you'll run just as good.
Right. You said you request the information, but for clarification purposes, Mr. Broussard, you were okay with them requesting the crosswalk when we send it in to be at the intersection by Lowe's? That way you have a better shot of obtaining it?
Yes, that's what I told you.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we gotta meet the specs. I mean, we know they're not gonna deviate, so.
Well, we're not going to lower the speed limit,
No, I
so
know.
we're not going to meet that spec.
Well, okay, it's a state highway anyway, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna be the
Yeah,
one.
so our only shot is to put it at that intersection with us.
We might could do a match or something.
Great.
I got two things.
Yes, sir.
Did they ever get the study back from LaSalle Street, Sheriff Department supposed to do for the speeding? See if we can put a four-way stop at the corner of LaSalle and Persian, or the old Rex Mill. Did that study ever
Yes,
come?
Mr. Leroy met with him. He's on vacation. I'll bring it for the next meeting. That way he could, I know that he met with them after they did,
Okay.
so I can bring that to, we can bring that, at the next meeting.
And the other thing is, somebody mentioned something about you probably can get a good chance at getting money from the state when you mention children's safety. So I still want my crosswalk over the tracks from the Western Park to the library on St. Peter, so my kids can get there and learn in a safe way. And you gonna help me with that, right?
Yes,
You know how to do it.
That's railroad.
He's a
Railroad, don't pass guy.
Railroad safety.
That's right.
Yep,
So we'll push for that.
good. Further discussion? We'll move on to item 6B. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember David Broussard, discussion on railroad issues.
Ding.
Another good statement here. Railroad safety issues need immediate action by the city council. 2 weeks ago at 6:30 a.m., a freight train heading towards Jeanerette had a signal said stop train. It stopped for 2 hours. It couldn't get it started at Fontenot Drive. Now you count 110 cars going to the middle of town. That's very many crossings that they couldn't cross. So it's 2 hours it was stuck. That's just that one incident we have lately. With average of 100 plus rail cars, blocked several streets towards the middle of Iberia. I see Errol Babineau in here from McKinnon Ambulance. He's in the audience. Leaving ambulances, emergency vehicles, school buses blocked by not being able to cross these railroad tracks. I've heard over 60 stories in my time of this last 12 years, people stopping me and telling me stories about not being able to get across that track with some kind of deathly bad injury. The last chief of police we had, Mr. DeCourt, what his name was, the last chief of police.
Chief Bell?
Was my biggest supporter of this, because every time I'd have one of these, he'd get up and talk about the babies not being born on the other side that couldn't get across. So he had many instances of things like that. Marlo, you have said several times that problems such as above affect all citizens in all districts. Each one of us have people that on the other side of the track going to Lafayette. Other towns have people passing on the 49 or future 49, passing through New York. I tell them all, I said, don't get no wreck around here. You have a train that blocks a town, you will not be able to get to the hospitals. So we need all the support of this whole council to push for action. It might take an act of Congress, it might take years, but keep it on the map. Yeah, I'm emotional about this because my dad gave me this idea when I ran. The first time I went and asked him to run for office. First thing he said was, get me over that track. Why do you think I'm pushing this so many times? It's not my own idea. It's older people in this town are embarrassed that they can't get across that track to a hospital in 50 years. It can't be happening. Why they built those trees on that end when they should have built it by the full lane? But as railroad officials and state officials, I want to ask for Mayor DeCourt to start up a railroad task force. We had one before. Let's start up another one. To get railroad officials and state officials to address this task force on railroad issues to be resolved. Hold them to the fire. Back in 2005, Mayor DeCourt, Pro Temp Dan Dahl, as well as myself as city councilman, we voted to move the 1.6 million of dedicated federal funds for the overpass to get to the hospitals. We voted for that. And we voted to move it to arms and lights. And I hope that it's still being set up to use for arms and lights.
Where's the money?
Because of lack of funding for the overpass, we voted to move this money to arms and lights. And this task force can bring the railroad and the state officials to the table to solve these very serious issues. Yes, I'm emotional. How can you not be when you're fooling with life and death? That's rough when it blocks all these intersections. So yes, I'll keep bringing it up until we find, like we say, we'll keep asking. If we don't ask, we don't receive it. So we need to let the public know we have a problem over here, and each and everybody in the state passing along your Iberia or what, if they get in trouble and the thing is blocked, they're in big trouble. So I'm sorry about being emotional on this. I'd like to hear a little bit about, not only me talking about this, I'd like other people to speak their word and see if we can resolve this problem.
Yes.
And Mr. Broussard's correct. I've been on the council a long time, and I think the first 3 months you were here, you brought that up. And the problem we always had, and you got the money, you worked hard, and you were able to let us put some of these crosswalks to save lives. I have to say that. I never saw a man work so hard for that money in my life.
And a good portion with the arm.
Yeah, but the problem we have that people don't understand, that railroad was there first. We don't own it. And every time we fight the railroad company about what crosswords we're gonna close or what things, they come to us and they say, we're gonna tell you what we're gonna close. They own that property. They were here first.
We fight about the grass.
But we have the right.
You're right.
We fight about the grass next to the
But
railroad.
even though they're here first, we don't own it. So let's public know that our work that we do, the monies we spend there is our dollars. And sometimes they do come to the table, you know, but it's something that the railroad industry is a very strong industry. And the dollars that would be needed for this is millions because, and we went through this, about the businesses you have to buy to make the overpass. So what we need to do, first of all, have a relationship, a better relationship with the railroad people to see what could be done and where it could be done. And, you know, people think about things and said, mentioned, you don't ask for it, it's not gonna happen. But the problem won't go away. But we have to understand the situation before we try to do something. And we need the railroad people somehow to be with us on this, to go up there to try to get some funds to make something work. And we can't get them too mad because, you know, they control that. Is that not true, Mayor?
That's 100%.
Yeah, so I think the first thing we need to do, I don't care what resolutions we send, and I'll be supportive of every one Mr. Broussard has, is that we can get some involvement with the railroad people to be part of this solution, or how we can get to a solution for their problem.
That task force, Mr. DeCourt, would be very important that every 3 or 4 months we get the railroad, state officials here and talk it over at certain meetings and see how close we can get to solving. They'll give us answers. We have 5, 6 steps you have to take. So get through 1 or 2 of those simple steps to get to the rest of them. But I think a task force, if you can give that a real big consideration, it might still be alive. We had one, it was a national task force through the parish. Larry Reshaw was the president of it. I was on that board. I was on the committee. So we have to see if it's still alive or we can rejuvenate it, or we have to start a new one.
All right, Councilmember Swear.
So, in 2005, we received, it was 1.6 million.
Mr. Bennett.
Okay, so the money then went from there, transferred over to the Armico Canal project. No?
Went to Arms and Lights.
No, no, sir.
Armico Canal was at $750,000,
But
separate
it
from the
came,
state.
it came.
But did it come from
It
the,
came out of that money, Mr. Russo.
$1.6 million.
Out of your $1.6 million, some of it went to Armico and some went to Arms and
When I
Lights.
made a deal to move the money, it was going only to Arms and Lights.
well, I thought you,
don't know how that got
I don't mean to interrupt, but I thought you did say that 750,000 of the money that we
State money.
received from the state did go,
To
you
Armico
moved it to the
Canal.
Armico Canal,
I thought
because it
that was
was
the
much
only money.
needed.
And the balance went to the cross.
Yeah, we went to Armico and the balance went to Arms and Lights. You did some good in two directions.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, and that was the way.
Which I agree with.
Freddie was sitting here, I was sitting
Yeah,
there.
Dan was
Yeah,
here,
you-
I was here, you were there.
And I thought
No, sir.
it was two
I
separate
mean, I'll be
things.
glad to look it up, but part of the money went to Armico,
When we
and I remember you,
Yeah.
you know, you said we're gonna
So
alleviate
it's all been
flooding
used
and-
up already?
Yeah, that money's gone.
That's
We used
I
it.
remember that, I know.
And like I said, you did good in two directions. You got some Arms and Lights up, and you helped with the flooding.
I'll live with it, but I was thinking,
Well,
we dealt with
that's
one.
what happened.
And it
we
was a
dealt with-
different administration.
Yeah, it was a different administration, but we did some good.
Yeah.
I mean,
That-
It helped out.
I want to make a statement before
yes,
I do support what you're doing. I really do. Hopefully we can go to the state. Hopefully we can get some help. Get with the railroad. Hopefully it can work. It might, like you said, it's gonna take time. Because like we always say, the big elephant in the room is money, and we don't have it. So, you know, but I do support everything you're trying to do.
I'd also like to add the same thing Dustin said. I do support it as well. I think a railroad task force is indeed in order, or some type of committee, or a get-together, or communication, and stay in communication with them so we don't run into issues like this. So I support you, Mr. David Broussard.
My comment is about the railroad. What's the status of the drainage project that has to go underneath that railroad crossing on Jefferson Terrace? Because that's my main concern for my district, is drainage. Because, you know, we've had a lot of rains lately.
oh, yes, ma'am.
And, you know, I like sidewalks, you know, that's real fine and good, but how you gonna get there if you can't, if it's all flooded? So, my thing is drainage in my district is the most important thing, and I know we talked about starting phase 1,
Yes.
and then moving to phase 2, and then phase 3 to ease up that. So, that's my main concern.
Chandler's gonna have a report for me in the morning, our engineer. We are on it. We have been in communication. We did approve the 1.7 million of the total $3 million project. We reserved the rest of the money to do some flooding work in some other areas, knowing that we'd come back to a phase 2. So we'll shortly have a report of where we are on that. We have been out, I'd hope to have it tonight, actually, because we've been pressing him to get moving. But that is a project that is coming. I can also announce that we got our check a couple weeks ago from the mosquito control tax of $656,300 to be exact. So that'll go into the fund with the balance that we had, so that we can decide some future drainage projects, which we all know, you know, we all have experienced the flooding in the last few weeks, and we know that we definitely have to spend some money on our infrastructure. But that's a project is in the works. Yes, who's next? Councilmember Lewis.
Quick question. Does L&D run the whole railroad? Because that's the only people I've dealt with with regards to the railroad in my district.
Burlington Northern comes through too, and they have.
I'm just asking,
No,
so I know.
it's not only L&D.
Like, does L&D
This is
own the
BNSF,
track
Burlington.
and somebody else owns the, you know what I mean? Like the jurisdiction of what comes through?
Right. That's who owns it. Yeah, Burlington Northern owns it.
And then
L&D is the short
maintains?
line. Yeah, they're the short line railroad, so they do 100 and something miles, I think, of it, maybe 200 miles, but they just do they're the short line. But Burlington Northern owns it.
Okay, and so
That's why you see other trains, I mean, it's not only an L&D line. you know,
right, that's
why
what
you see
I'm
all those
saying.
other trains
That's who I
coming
see
through.
maintaining my area.
Right. But
So
that's
I
what-
don't, I don't really pay attention to not
Right.
by my house, I guess. And so, Mr. Broussard, is your main concern still with regard to having an overpass just strictly by the hospital? I remember that was always your,
Okay, there's another issue.
because we're talking about the railroad, but I remember
The
that was
closest we had of getting an overpass was on Hopkins Street. The
Hopkins.
only state road we have, we gotta be a state road coming to the track.
Okay,
But we swapped it. We gave it up.
It's true.
They went to St. Peter and Maine and blacked out Maine and St. Peter and doing the drainage and all, but we swapped it. Now that killed the only spot that we had so far with a state road coming to the railroad track. They had us on the list of doing it right there. But when they swapped it, it killed the project. So we have to figure other ways. There's all kind of avenues that we have to talk about.
okay.
But from Amador on Bush Street to the railroad track is not a state road. We'd
Gotcha.
like to have it right there. But I fought them till somebody told me to just shut up and be quiet. You know, I had it going for years. I had it going. The only spot I
Okay.
could put it was on Hopkins Street.
Yeah.
The only legal thing I could keep on the table was that state road to put an overpass. But I got the word, and they made the swap.
Okay.
So that was another issue we had of getting one.
And so, I guess who would, okay, like in my I don't really know how much the train stops by Honolulu or, closer to the hospital. I'm District 1. Jane Street, everybody knows about the Jane Street situation. I feel like it has gotten a lot better, but it would be my personal opinion that the worst spot in town is North Landry Drive. And I mean, that's nowhere near the hospital. I mean, I'm open to talking about whatever we need to talk about, but I know his main concern was always the train combined with hospital access. But I mean, it's my opinion that hopefully Acadian Ambulance and the Sheriff's Office knows, because I know I avoid North Landry Drive like the plague. I mean, I do. I mean, there's a cheat way around it, and I can teach anybody. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, like you said, the train has been here forever. Does it stop a lot in anyone else's district? I don't know. Where?
French and French and West Washington. Just sit there.
But that's when they changing the cars.
Yes, I
And when they
understand.
change the
But
cars.
that holds me up though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just food for thought, if we're gonna create a task force, Mr. Perry Templeton, the CPA here, is wonderful when it comes to train research, and I think he would be a great asset for you to talk to, Mr. Broussard.
I agree with that.
We even talked, at one point, we even talked to the hospital to maybe put a little mini hospital on the other side of the tracks to take care of patients. I mean, that even came up in a discussion. That's how,
Well, it'd be nice if we had an urgent care on that side,
yeah.
Cheaper.
But,
That's true. It's
but we
on
don't.
this side.
Everything is on this side.
so,
Yeah.
Great. Good discussion, Mr. Broussard. Thank you for your passion. Let's see, where are we? Item 6C. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Deidre Ledbetter to discuss adjudicated properties.
For some time now, we've been talking about the adjudicated properties that we have listed on Civic Source, and you announced it, I think, last meeting and all, and they're coming up again. I was not sure where the properties were located, so I did ask our clerk to provide a list of those properties, and you all had them in your packet. I also did some research on it, and I had a handout about adjudicated properties and tax deed sales that I shared with everybody. It's a good little question and answer, because I was very interested in it and how it works, and where they were in town. And pretty much if we sell them on Civic Source, then we could possibly get some money that we could invest in some other projects around the city. And I did have one question about, it was not an adjudicated property, it was a city property that we sold, and now it's where affordable rent to own. That was a big amount. What happened to that amount of money?
I can tell you.
I'll let the mayor pro tem tell.
Because I remember it was supposed to do some demolition and stuff like that. I mean, I was a candidate at the time when I would come and listen to it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the original agreement was to put the money aside in like a savings account, but that didn't happen. Parts of the money was put aside. Most of the money was spent on equipment and things that every department needed. And I'm not saying it was a wish list. I'm going to say it was stuff they needed. From Public Works to, I think maybe fire, every department had a list of what they wanted. And they went through the list. And you know, some things was needed. So a lot of the money was spent for those items, and a small portion was put aside. And I'm not sure how small that portion was or what, but that's what it was used for. But I'm not saying what we used it for was wasteful at all. It was something that needed to be done. But we talked about it even in the past about these properties. As we sell them, we need to use those dollars to enhance other properties or even demolish other properties.
I think that's where we're headed.
And that's what we've been trying to do. And I think that's what we need to do. I mean, if we're making money off a property that we're selling, then we should put that money back into that system of demoing and cleaning up other properties. And I think that's the mayor's plan. I think the council talked about that at one time. But that's the information I can give you. I can even give you a list of the items that was bought with those dollars if you need to.
That would be helpful.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what Dan was saying, I know another item we bought was the street sweeper. The mayor, it was close to the end of the term, presented us with a list, and that was voted on. And I'm pretty, we'd have to look, but I'm pretty sure it was a unanimous vote. So that's where that went. And I want to thank you for requesting this list. It's very informative. Not being braggy, but District 1 only has 2 locations on it, so I'm very proud of my district. And but my district has, you know, I have a bunch of different types of areas. Some of the districts kind of all level out in similarity, but my district, I go from high income to trailer parks, and you know, I'm proud of it. It looks good, and I want to express that to them.
Great.
The list, I think, is also helpful because of course we get, and now it's beginning of that season where the grass is getting tall. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes people call in and complain about it, and we'll know if it's one of our properties where there's an issue. Yeah. And we can also then, if we know somebody that's interested in the property, we can say, well, you know, there's a property available at such and such a site. Go to the website and
civicsource.com.
Yes,
we have 73 right now.
Yes, for those properties, and also to really go around and look to see where they are, and to find out if there's a structure on the property, if that structure is really viable, because the one that you and I went to, not really viable.
No, ma'am.
So, and that was another reason for the list. So, that's what I had.
Councilman McGinnis.
Okay.
And I'll go to
I just wanted to add, say thank you to Councilwoman Deidre for that list. It is very helpful. And also to, in our next fiscal amendment of the budget session, that we can consider maybe allocating more funds to the demolition fund to continue making progress in our communities. So maybe adding a little bit more money to our demolition fund, maybe in the next session, budget session.
That's, well, you know, we adopted, you know, the previous budget, as is always the case. So we're going to come up in a
the
few
next-
months on our own budget.
Right.
I think that we should start early. I think that we need to consider what money we're going to budget for demos. Dan's not wrong. He and I have been talking about some of the proceeds, maybe not all of it, but some of the proceeds. We'll have to decide a dollar figure of where it goes to a combination of roofs and infrastructure as well as demo. I mean, we need a lot of things. As a group, we're going to decide where we're heading with that money. And then, of course, the next big thing is how do we decide what houses, we're going to tear down? Because we have a long list. We have some that have been on the demo list. We have some that, as a new council, we're all active and working. They're coming and we're adding them. I don't know if we're going to do a lottery. I don't know what we're going to do. We have to go with a fair way that we pick some houses, that it's not, I want it in my, we can all be jockeying for a house. We're all going to be saying, maybe we'll each put up the worst one and put them in a hat and it'll be a lottery. I don't know. But we're going to come with a fair way that as you remember this, it's about $5,000 to demo a normal small house.
Regular house.
If it has asbestos, it's $10,000. So when we come up with how many we're going to want to do, it's all a money thing. We will allocate so much money, we'll look at how many houses we can do, and then we're going to come up with some system that's fair, that doesn't pit one side of town or one area that, you could have one of us that's just way better at lobbying to get that house torn down. I want to find a fair system that is impartial and that we select what houses we're going to do, and then we get them done. When the money's gone, we'll have to look at what else we're going to do. But just remember, we have a lot of need, and it's going to be a lot of fun and a challenge when the budget cycle comes. I'm actually going to try to start it as early as I can because it's going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It really will. Councilmember Swear.
Again, thank you, Deidre, for getting this list together. I have a question. A couple of,
Thank Maxine.
Maxine?
I asked her to get it together.
well, I appreciate that, Ms. Maxine.
You're
A couple of them in my district, they don't have they have like the street, but not the address number. So that account number that's on the side of this item, is that a parcel number?
It's a parcel number.
Yes.
The parcel number that you can go on the web assessor's website and look at? Okay.
Correct.
That was a question I had. Thanks for answering it. Can you answer this, what the dollar amount was on that affordable rent-to-own property when the sale?
I think 1.2.
Was that the sale on just that property?
No.
Or
It was
I think
800-some-thousand. It was
I wasn't
800-some-thousand.
here, but
I
it
was
was-
looking at something else.
Yeah, I wasn't here, but it was
It's about 870, 875.
I wasn't here, but I know it was like
Something like that.
eight something.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
I know
like- I know what
Came
we
to the
wanted
meeting.
for it.
And just the street
You know
sweeper was
that-
what, 300?
How was that?
The street sweeper, just the street sweeper.
Oh, no.
They did have some
100-something.
separate
No.
properties.
Oh, maybe they were trying to get two
Yeah,
at the
no, it was-
beginning. That's what it was.
So I know some of the money was used, but I think they had some equipment purchased to the Parks and Rec.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Maybe,
We'll
all
get a
kind of things
list.
purchased.
We'll get a list.
Yeah, we'll put a list together.
That'd be nice to have. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that way we know.
Okay.
We know what our assets are.
Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes, sir.
Go ahead, Ms. Nam.
I'm gonna follow Robert's rules. You go.
Okay. You following the rules, wow. Hey, Freddie, I know we're in, with the Civic Source, for how long we tied into them?
I think it's a yearly contract
Okay.
pretty sure it's a yearly
And I
contract.
see, after so many days like this one, Wednesday, June the 14th, is when the bids are gonna be in.
Correct, on those 73.
On those
Because
73.
we have over 400
Yeah.
adjudicated properties.
Now, at that point, do the fundings, we relook at it and you come to us and say, this is the fundings that are available? Or we wait to the end of our budget before we use any dollars to do some more work?
We were kind of discussing that because we've gotten one check in directly, because sometimes we sell these products, we don't make anything. Sometimes we sell them, and by the time we go through everything, we get our taxes. By the time they clear the title, by the time they have all their expenses, there's no money. Now, what it does do, I never have to pay to cut the grass again, which is a big help, and it puts it back in commerce. It gives us a citizen or an owner, so it's very valuable to do it no matter what. But you can't look at these 73 properties and say, cha-ching, we're making money on all of them.
4,500.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way. So there are many of them that we sell. We sold one a week or two ago, Maxine, that we got $19,000. So that's $19,000 that was generated from this. That's the rarity. We sold some other ones that we didn't make anything.
And it goes in the general fund.
That's the question I had.
Yes.
Does it go in the general fund?
Yes.
It does?
Now, we're earmarking it, and we're making, that's our place to put it. We're making a list, and we're keeping it because I have the same philosophy that you know, that money needs to go back, especially from these adjudicated properties, needs to go back to continue doing things. So that money will go in the general fund, but Maxine and I have started a list that we're making and keeping so that when we get to the budget time, we'll be able to tell you this is how much money these properties generated, and we will decide as a group what we're gonna do. I present a budget, but you people are the budget. So I present it and you either approve it or amend it, and we go back and forth, which is the healthy part of our government. So we're gonna have a lot of discussion.
That's why I asked.
Hopefully we have a lot of money to discuss about it,
That's
but
why
I just want you to know that it's not gonna be, you know.
That's why I asked, because I
73.
really believe that, you know, we wait to budget time and to look at the dollars and see what we do more with, because if some other things might come up that might be more
They are.
priority than this.
Yeah, we'll be pushing roofs, we'll be
So if
pushing
we're doing it, you know, at the end of the year,
Overpasses.
you know, I thought it'd be great. That's why I was just asking. I didn't know how it was gonna work.
Yeah, I thought that was the correct way to drain it. No, we have a ton of
We have a
issues.
serious
you
drainage
know,
problem.
Which is gonna be fun. I mean, that's why we're here. Natalie?
I just have a quick question. I was looking at Miss Maxine and it triggered my brain. Do we promote this website? Because she has a lot of her prior experiences in the real estate industry.
Triggered her brain.
It made me think, you know, you working with the title companies and all that, but do we promote this list and website through our local realtor brokers? Because I think that, you know, this is great information for them to have. We have a lot of realtors in New Iberia.
Civic Source has their own marketing.
Yeah, because
They have their own market, so a realtor cannot.
We can check into it.
I mean, I can check into it.
Like, I'm just wondering, you get what I'm saying? Because they have you know, they have people
The
who are trying to
contract with
sell
them
and buy and
It's
all.
pretty exclusive because they have to warranty the title, they do all the title
They do all the
research,
work.
and we're talking about small amounts of money. So I kind of feel that they're totally in-house because if they're gonna make anything out of the deal, they make money before we do, of course, because of their efforts. But it is such a time-consuming process, clearing up the titles, warranting the
But
titles.
even
doing
if
that
the
research.
realtors don't make a cut off of it, just to have like maybe an email sent out to all the local realtor brokers for them to know about it, they can, you know, if they have a client that they is below anything that they can find or whatever, they can say, go to this website. It's just another avenue, you know, that's their industry. I just feel like it might be helpful for them to be informed about.
Any idea I can to sell these properties.
Does that, am I making sense?
Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll send marketing.
I get what you're saying. They might not be able to make money off the deal, but it's still realtors are in this huge network.
We need to get that word out any way we can.
Right. It's a huge network, and it's a free publicity for us.
I'll check on it.
Okay. Thank you.
It is on our website though, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we talk about it at every meeting, and I tell you how many properties are coming up at the end of every meeting, and I try to remember to do it on the radio too, so. All right, good discussion. We are to councilman's remarks, around the table, starting with Councilmember Lopez.
Okay, I have just 2 events for next week. The first one is in my district, June 15th, 5:30, Dask Elementary Neighborhood Watch for our June meeting. And then also on Wednesday, June 14th, there is going to be a campaign kickoff at Beau Soleil, which is the former Des Amis. So that's next Wednesday, June 14th, Beau Soleil on Main Street. And this is going to be held for Suzanne Demaye, who is a candidate for the newly soon to be open judge seat. So it's Division B for the 16th Judicial District. This is the judge race that's going to be coming up soon that affects all 3 parishes, Iberia, St. Martin, and St. Mary. And I feel that anyone who lives in any of these parishes should definitely be informed as to the candidates that are going to be involved in this judgeship race, because it affects us all, whether we know it or not. So that's next Wednesday, June 14th at Beau Soleil to meet Suzanne Demaye. Thank you.
At what time?
Yeah,
Oh, at what time? At 5 p.m. Right after work. Thank you.
yeah, the summer camp is up and running at the West End Park. I think all the slots are filled for kids, but if anybody wants to donate or go volunteer any of their services to to them, they can go in the park, I'm sure, and maybe call you too as well, huh, Ms. Heather? And, because they're always looking for people that want to donate their time, and their talents, and their treasures to those kids in the West End Park. Other than that, that's all I have.
Veterans Day was very nice. I went to it on Main Street, Bulleney. And Freddie, it's kind of rough when you have two mayors in town. You're the mayor of Iberia, but that Mr. Paul Schwing.
Oh, he's been the mayor of Main
He's
Street for a
something
long
else.
time.
I was very
He got me
impressed.
outranked.
I was very impressed to meet him again, and boy, he still has a good mind. But all the other officials over there, I want to thank them for putting on a very nice program. I enjoyed it.
Well, Mayor, I hope maybe the rain is going to be slacking off, but we need to use some common sense. If you see it's raining and you notice the day before the garbage, if you got to put your garbage cans in your driveway or in your yard instead in the street. I went down a couple of streets and they had like 3 garbage cans the water took down the street. So just a little common sense, if the garbage is coming to your day and it's raining at night, when you put it out, maybe put it at the edge of your driveway versus in the street, because it really restricts the drainage for that area. And it's something that really, it's not hard to do, but it would help out our drainage. And we need all the help we can get, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I also want to invite everyone to our neighborhood, District 4 and District 5 Neighborhood Watch meeting on June the 15th and 6 o'clock at the Slyman. And I also heard from one of my constituents, Miss Vicky at Cajun Pecans on Easy Street, and you know, I talked about drainage today, and she called me it was raining really, really hard. And she asked, and I'm asking everybody in New Iberia, be mindful when the roads are flooded, when big trucks in particular, pass down the streets that are flooded, and they push water into houses and into places of business, and that's a real hardship. And some of the streets were closed off, and some of the streets needed to be closed off. But I'm just asking our residents to just think about others in those times, instead of going around looking around and pushing water into people's house. Maybe stay home and just think about doing something nice for somebody else instead of just sightseeing during that time. So I wanted to say hello to Miss Vicky, and I hope she does better on Easy Street because of what I'm saying. Thank you.
Great.
I pass.
Okay.
I want to mention what Mr. Daw said about stuff getting caught up in the drainage and people not picking up things in their yard. Me and Mr. Livingston with Public Works found a all-purpose spray bottle stuck in a culvert, and that's what caused the whole street to back up. So it's things like that that we really need to pay attention to. And on what you're saying about vehicles, I'm urging everyone, if you don't need to be on the street, just stay home. If you do, I totally understand that you need to get out and do something. And if you do pass on Lewis or Jefferson Terrace, just be courteous of the businesses right there, because it's already happened before. Water pushed and broke the glass on one store, and it causes a lot of issues. So I'm just reaching out and letting everyone know that if something, just please, just slow it down or just stay home. So thank you.
Great. I got a few. The next city council meeting, June 20th. Our offices will be closed for the 4th of July, and that was a night we'd have a meeting, so that meeting will be canceled. We have 73 adjudicated properties on Civic Source. Shadows Children's History Camp starts on June the 12th. The Homeless Task Force that meets once a month, the City of New Iberia's Homeless Task Force, is at 2 o'clock on June 13th here, and Flag Days in Bulleney Plaza at 6 p.m. on June 14th. And I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion by Councilmember Guidry. Do I have a second? Councilmember Broussard. Thank y'all.
All right.